Olight have upgraded one of their most popular torches, the Seeker 4 Pro. The new Seeker Ultra gets their tough and distinctive OAL finish, along with a small bump in brightness from 4600 to 4800 lumens. But the biggest change is charging. You still get Olight's convenient magnetic charging, but now there is finally a USB-C port built directly into the torch. In the box you get the plastic holster, the torch itself, a USB-C charging cable, a mounting clip and the instruction manual. The build quality is very good. Olight's Ultra range use their proprietary OAL or O-aluminium superalloy, with supposedly additional toughness. It's hard to verify their claims, but my Arc Pro Ultra that I keep in the car doesn't get treated very carefully and still looks like new. I also really like the look of the OAL finish. The torch weighs a little under 220 grams, is 138mm long and 35mm wide. It keeps the IPX8 waterproof rating and 1.5 meter drop rating of the Seeker 4 Pro, but is slightly heavier and a little longer. It's not really an EDC or everyday carry torch, more something you carry in your hand or keep in a jacket pocket. It does feel just right in my hand and there's a silicone grip for additional comfort. I always have a slight concern that these textured grips might perish, but I've not seen that happen on an Olight torch yet. They have increased the capacity of the proprietary 21700 battery from 5000 mAh to 5800 mAh, a pretty significant upgrade. That gives a 12-hour, 30-minute runtime in the 300 lumen medium mode, up from 11 hours. But it's the integrated USB-C charging port that I'm particularly pleased to see. The previous version could charge via USB-C, but only through the holster. I didn't use the holster that much, so that wasn't particularly useful to me. Now you can simply lift a metal flap and charge the Seeker Ultra from a standard USB-C cable. Thankfully, unlike the Marauder Mini 2 I looked at recently, the port isn't deeply recessed, so it should work with most USB-C cables. Charging is still not particularly fast. A full charge takes just over 4 hours. There is no magnetic charging cable supplied, but if you already have one, you can still use it. However, a full charge takes even longer, over 5 hours. I do find magnetic charging very convenient, but I think it's probably due for an upgrade. Not only is it slower, but I also find the charging indicator a little unreliable. It will sometimes show green, indicating a full charge, even when I know the torch has been used a fair bit. The magnetic base also lets you attach the torch to a metal surface for hands-free use. It is quite a heavy torch though, and while the magnet will support its own weight, I probably won't want to rely on it too much. This is a very simple torch to use. You need to unlock it by rotating the dial left or right a quarter of a turn, but after that, a press of the button turns the torch on and off. If the torch is off, after around 10 seconds, it will lock itself again. Holding the button cycles through the 3 main brightness levels, low at 50 lumens, medium at 300 lumens, and high at 1200 lumens. A double tap, whether the torch is on or off, takes you straight into the 4800 lumen turbo mode, while a triple press activates strobe mode. Holding the button while the torch is off enters the 5 lumen moonlight mode. It's not particularly dim for a moonlight mode, but I do find it useful if you just need a bit of light without disturbing someone. Olight claims an impressive 17 days of runtime in this mode. You can also adjust the brightness by rotating the dial clockwise or anti-clockwise. It's a very satisfying action and gives a near stepless brightness control. For me, around 600 lumens is often plenty, and the torch remembers that exact setting even after you've turned it off. I also like the clear display, which lets you quickly check the brightness level, battery status and lockout status at a glance. If you're not keen on the quarter turn unlock, you can switch to a hold to unlock mode by holding down the power button while screwing the tail cap back on. There's also the usual shut-off timer, which can automatically switch the torch on or off after 3 or 9 minutes. I very much see this torch as something to keep by your back door to grab when you go for a walk, or to keep in your car for emergencies. The holster that comes with it includes a mounting bracket that you can either screw in place or attach to a smooth surface using the included double-sided tape. The holster incorporates a USB-C charging port and clips into the mounting bracket, so you could leave it permanently mounted and charging, meaning the torch is always fully charged and ready to go. Putting the torch out of the holster automatically unlocks it, while putting it back locks it again. You can even have the torch on whilst in the holster, allowing it to act as a sort of emergency lantern, although brightness is limited to 600 lumens. Olight uses 4 cool white LEDs with a specified colour temperature of 5700 to 7000 Kelvin, similar to the Seeker 4 Pro. Interestingly, they are not using their new in-house LEDs found in some of their other recent Ultra models, such as the Baton 4 Ultra and Arc Pro Ultra, both of which I've reviewed recently. I measure just over 6500 Kelvin and was pleased to see a very neutral beam, especially in turbo mode, where there is virtually no tint. At the lower brightness levels, there is a slight green tint, although I didn't find it particularly noticeable in use. As with almost every Olight torch I've tested though, the CRI is fairly low at 71, so if colour accuracy is important, this probably isn't the torch for you. Next I measured the actual brightness of the torch in my calibrated Lumen test chamber. In turbo mode, I measured just over 4,800 lumens at turn on, and just under 4,800 lumens after 30 seconds, pretty much exactly as specified by Olight. The output then quickly drops to just over 1,000 lumens, where it remains for 150 minutes before dropping to around 600 lumens. Although Olight's brightness claims are almost always very accurate, I can't normally match their runtime claims. But in this case, 150 minutes at over 1,000 lumens is exactly as specified. Having a relatively compact torch that can run at over 1,000 lumens continuously for well over 2 hours is really impressive. The head never gets too hot either. Even repeatedly forcing it back into turbo mode, I never measured much above 50 degrees Celsius. I think Olight have got the beam pattern just about right. It has an almost perfect flood beam for dog walking and general use, and I suspect this is the sort of beam pattern most people actually want if they're only going to own one torch. You get excellent visibility all around you, but because of the high brightness, you still have plenty of range when needed, especially in turbo mode. You can see in the garden shots that there is barely any hotspot, as it is essentially all flood. Measuring the range in my calibrated Lumen test chamber, I confirmed Olight's figures almost exactly, with a measured range of just under 260 meters in turbo mode. Overall, I think if I was recommending just one torch to somebody who isn't a torch enthusiast, this would probably be it. It's a great all-rounder, it's extremely bright, has an excellent beam pattern, offers long battery life, and thanks to the integrated USB-C port, is now much easier to charge. For torch enthusiasts, it's perhaps a little disappointing that Olight is still using relatively low CRI LEDs. Some people may also prefer a dual beam design with both flood and spot LEDs. But for most people, I suspect this broad beam pattern is exactly what they want from a general purpose torch. Although I thought the Seeker 4 Pro was an excellent torch, I can never fully recommend it because of the lack of integrated USB-C charging. Now that Olight have finally addressed that, the Seeker Ultra becomes a very easy recommendation. If you have any questions or thoughts on the Seeker Ultra, leave them down below. I do read all the comments and respond to as many as I can. If this review helped you make an informed decision, please consider giving the video a like and using the links in the description if you decide to buy one yourself. Using them really does help support the channel at no extra cost to you. And I normally have some discount codes available there as well. And if you'd like to see more videos on the latest technology, please consider subscribing. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.